Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sports. I am Ralph Labella.
And I'm Ron Sen. I want to say something about the role of self-assessment in sports. This came up on a website called Hoop Thoughts, where the author was discussing Mike Krzyzewski's thoughts concerning Duke, which was knocked out in the first round by powerhouse Lehigh 75-70 this year. And Krzyzewski's quote is, "We need to be tougher with what we're doing, how we're practicing, and how we bond." I take a look at all those things. And his point is, even though they've had tremendous success and virtually no criticism in the media, there's something that's not right as far as he's concerned with his program when they can't advance past the first round. He said maybe it's a good thing. If we'd gone a couple of rounds, won a couple of games, maybe we think we're better than we are. And in coaching, we do it all the time. We say, where do we need to get better? What changes do we have to make? We decided this year we had to emphasize putting on pressure and handling pressure. So in practice, we're playing a lot more pressure-oriented style to try to help the girls develop more quickly.
Yeah, when you talk about Duke, I mean, he knows the way in the last 10 years they've won it one year, but basically you don't hit your three-point shots, you lose. That's the Duke team. Last year they had Rivers' kid who's leaving, freshman. I thought he was their best player. They have some good low-post players, the two brothers that were pretty good, but they don't have any real bangers, and that's cost them over the years. They've had talent. Probably they had less talent this year than they've had in a long time. I'm talking about banging the boards, scorers. They had three-point shooters, but not real scorers, and that hurt them. So he's going to have to look at that.
Right, and coaches always have to potentially reinvent themselves. It's not like the late 60s, early 70s, where UCLA had such an abundance of talent, they could just steamroll everyone, and it was a 32-game tournament, so you didn't really get these fringe teams come in out of nowhere to be able to compete. Now there are programs like Virginia Commonwealth who, they aren't out of nowhere. They've got really good players, they've got really good coaching. Butler, you know, who heard of Brad Stevens and Butler, and they make it to the Final Four 2 years in a row.
Well, we see in basketball, Ron. I mean, it's high school. It's right here in Melrose. It's all over. You know, the coaches have great players. They're going to have great teams, basically. How great, you know, Melrose over the years, the last 12 years, has had unbelievable talent. They've come close to winning the States, but they haven't won it. So when you have constantly have great talent, and then you have a couple of years where you don't have the great talent, you know, how's that coach going to deal with it? After having powerhouse teams, just like Duke, any other team, what does a coach do when he doesn't have the great talent? Well, in Duke this year, didn't have the great talent. They got knocked out the first round, relied on a three-point shot. Melrose basketball program with the girls, you know, they've had powerhouse teams this year. They have pretty good talent. Last year, not great talent. How's the coach going to deal with that after having powerhouse teams? Can he coach that type of a player? And that's what it comes down to in just about any sports. Doc Rivers with the Celtics run. When he first joined the Celtics, didn't have real good teams. I think one time they lost 18 in a row, one season. Then he gets the powerhouse teams, and he's a great coach with great talent.
Well, to me, it's, in the end of the day, it's about relationships. Look at the Celtics. You have a great coaching staff from Rivers on down, including Kevin Eastman. You have great relationship with a lot of respect between the coaching staff and the superstar future Hall of Fame players. And you have, for the most part, a team that's close. I had heard earlier in the year that Rivers called Rondo into his office and said, look, everyone on the team doesn't like you. You got to start being a leader, making things happen. And that's what they've done. They've done what they could. And to me, this is a much better job that Rivers has done than when they won the championship, because they really have no right to be up 3-2 against the Heat right now.
He's done a great job. I mean, you look at Rivers. I mean, he has worked well with Rondo. He's the #1 player. I mean, Rondo respects him because Rivers played point guard, and Rondo's really come on, especially in this series here with Miami. But you have to look at that. Some coaches, like Jackson, he's great with great talent. Some coaches aren't so good with great talent because they don't respect them, and then you don't get the most out of them. So that's a key, too. That's why a lot of people really like Jackson. He gets the most out of the real good players, and he's won, what, 9, 10 championships with that philosophy?
Right. You know, and it's the same in football. You have guys like Parcells or Belichick. In a salary cap league, every team has access to the same type of players. So if Belichick's won 14 games 4 times or something like that, you know, what does that say? Does he have an unfair competitive advantage in any way? No, he doesn't. Oh, does he have Brady? Right. Well, everybody else had 6 rounds of draft choices that they didn't pick Brady.
The one area that really upsets me, Ron, and you see it in high school sports a lot, coaches that don't have real good talent, the coaches that don't respect the players because of that. Because you're not as talented as another group that I coached, I don't respect you as much. He's not coming out and telling them that, but he's showing it. I've seen that in high school sports especially. And, that's one thing that I really don't appreciate seeing. And it's a problem in some cases. It's a big problem.
Well, basketball has a lot of elements that go into it far more than the average person knows. And you think you just roll the ball out there and you're going to be successful. It's really not that easy. And we see every year what kind of upsets there are in the postseason tournaments because there is great talent out there and there's great coaching. And not everybody who's been a really successful coach has been a player either. A guy like Rick Majerus, who's had great success. Rick Majerus was not an outstanding basketball player. He's just a big fat guy who knows basketball.
Well, especially like in basketball when you're talking about, of all sports, there's so many different styles, Ron, you go up against. Like when you have one of these major teams like Syracuse going against a smaller conference team, but they may be real quick, good shooters, good penetrators, and Syracuse is not used to it because in the Big East they're bangers, they play strong down low most of the teams, and then you get up against a team that's real quick, you're not adjusted to that, and that's why a lot of the good teams get knocked out.
Well, it certainly makes a difference. Now, tonight, while we're filming, is the potential clinching game for the Celtics, the 6th game of the NBA Eastern Finals. I don't know, I picked the Heat in 5, and I still don't count the Heat out. Somebody had a great graphic the other day. They said, here's Eric Spoelstra drawing up a play for the Heat. And he had 4 circles on one side and then LeBron James on the other side. Here's the play. LeBron, shoot the ball. And that's kind of how it is.
Well, if someone told me that the Celtics would be playing at home in a 6th game, playing the 6th game up 3-2 before the series started, I'd say, wow. I said, I'd take that. Because I was really worried. After that 76er series that won 7, and the Celtics were hurting big time, I was worried that they'd get embarrassed by Miami. And, it's been the opposite. They're embarrassing Miami.
Well, a big part of it has been clutch play down the stretch. And in True Hoops, part of ESPN.com, they had an analysis of shooting down the stretch. And what they defined was games that were within 5 points in the last 5 minutes. Now, Paul Pierce was the leading percentage field goal shooter at 12 for 19, followed by Durant, not surprisingly, and Rondo was 3rd at 51%. James and Wade were both somewhere between 30 and 40%. So down the stretch, the Celtics have made the plays. Some of the other players haven't.
Yeah, but what does that basically tell you, Ron? A lot of people knock LeBron James. I knock LeBron James for the way he handled the Cleveland situation. He was a jerk then. All right, let's put that aside. He was an idiot the way he went out. But when people say that he's not clutch, whatever, people got to realize Michael Jordan became a great shooter. He became a great shooter really after the first couple of years. Basically, the first few years, he was so quick going to the basket. That's what he relied on. But as his career went on, he became a real good shooter. What does Kobe hit? He hits the big jump shots. But they're not always 3. They're pull-up jump shots. LeBron doesn't have a pull-up jump shot. That's not LeBron's game. So when the end of the games run, LeBron's not a great shooter. People are expecting him to hit the 3-point shot or the pull-up jump shot. That's not his game is power, going to the hoop, finishing strong, steals, defense. And at the end of the game, when defenses are tight, it's a lot tougher. So they're saying he's a choker. I don't think he's a choker. That's his game. He's not a great shooter.
Well, when Jordan arrived at North Carolina as a freshman, Roy Williams was the assistant coach. And Jordan went up to Williams and said, I want to be the best player who's ever played at North Carolina, which that was a lot because North Carolina's had a legendary program. So Williams said, well, what are you going to do? He says, I'm going to work just as hard as everybody else. And Williams said, are you kidding me? Like, what is that going to get you? You have to work harder than everybody else. And Jordan said, all right, I can do that. So he was full tilt all the time, and he became the player he was because he worked harder than everybody else, and he had great ability, athleticism to start with.
Right, and then you look, just to talk about LeBron James and Wade, and people saying why aren't they clutch at the end of the games? I mean, they're real good during the games. Wade's not a great shooter. He's a good shooter at times, and LeBron's a good shooter at times. But that's not their game. Wade is slicing to the basket, pulling up, floaters, strong, finishes. And he'll hit the three-pointer or the jump shot at times, but he's not consistently a great shooter.
Right. Well,
so how do you expect them to be the closers at the end of the game?
Well, Larry Brown's brother, Herb Brown, wrote a book called Let's Talk Defense. And what he emphasizes is, more than anything else, you have to take away what the other team's strength is. Just like Belichick. Belichick will try to neutralize Tony Gonzalez or whomever they're playing. Now, if you said, what do the Heat love to do? They love to get out in transition, get Wade and James going to the basket. And what do the Celtics do? They hardly even bother to offensive rebound. They're just getting back trying to stop transition so that James and Wade can't get these easy baskets. And they're making them work for everything.
Yeah, and what they're doing with Wade, Rivers' best move was, we're not going to double-team James. We're going to double-team Wade. Let's let James do what he wants to. Let him take the shots from the outside, slice to the basket, hopefully take 24, 25 shots, get his 30 points, take a lot of shots. Let's deny Wade that close-in jump shot with that power move that he makes. Garnett has done an unbelievable job helping. But now with Bosch coming back, they said he's going to play 30-something minutes. Garnett's going to have to keep an eye on him a little more. But that's been the key.
Well, what frustrates me is watching the balls get tipped out. The Celtics aren't strong on the defensive board. They don't have Wilcox. They don't have a big, powerful rebounder in there. Garnett will get, he can jump. He can get some rebounds, but he can get pushed under too.
Right, and I'll tell you though, one thing I look at, again, I'm worried. The thing I'm worried about tonight and tonight's game is that they've been knocking Cleveland so much. Cleveland is embarrassed.
Miami.
Oh, Cleveland, Miami, so much that they're upset. LeBron's upset. Wade, they're going to come and give 100%. I feel good about where the Celtics are. You talk about a team finding their identity. I mean, they definitely have, and I believe they're going to come out and play a great game. I don't think they're going to blow them away. I mean, they could, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be a great basketball game, and whoever makes the plays at the end will win.
Right. You hear people talking like Miami's dead and buried. I think that's crazy, especially with Bosch coming back. Bosch has been an all-star player. He's a very useful player. He helps open up the floor for James and Wade. And, sometimes it's somebody you don't really expect to do much. The Mike Millers or something like that.
But they've been watching out for them pretty good. Although Miller had 3 open shots, he missed 2 of them the other night in key situations. But what really makes me feel good about the Celtics now is a guy I haven't been crazy about, Rondo. I think Rondo is really coming to his own in this series. He's become a leader, and he's out there. He's given 100% every game, and he's out there, and he's confident. He's confident that he can help lead the Celtics to victory. And I haven't seen that confidence before. I mean, these last 4 games, even though he shot 3 for 15, you can see he's very confident in what he's doing now.
Well, there's one other factor that we have to at least keep in mind, and that, of course, is the officiating. Apparently, after the first couple of games where the Celtics really came out on the short end of the stick, official-wise, there was not only complaints from Boston, but from all around the country saying, it looks like a fix is on, and the NBA, I think, is sensitive to that sort of thing.
Right. The NBA would love to see LeBron go up against Durant.
Oh, absolutely.
Westbrook and Wade. They'd love to see that situation. But, a lot of fans throughout the country want to see the Celtics play Oklahoma City. They think that'd be a great matchup, the quick young team against the Celtics.
Well, I don't think they're rooting for the Celtics. The national team to hate is the Heat.
But, I mean, it should be interesting. I believe that the Celtics are going to win, but I'm still worried because, LeBron and Wade are 2 of the best players in basketball, and they're going to come out and play the best game they can. And it's just going to be a slugfest all night, I believe.
No, I think it will be a great game, and, I have no real prediction as far as how it's going to go because, you just don't know. Like you say, who executes. Now, in the Western Series, excellent series, I'm kind of sad to say I was so tired. I went to bed early last night. San Antonio was pounding Oklahoma City, and then I wake up and the Thunder's in the finals.
Well, you see what happened in the second half in the 4th period? 5 fouls in a row against San Antonio. And the ref they had at that game was the ref, they say the best ref for the home team. in the league, was there for that game, so who knows?
Well, people think it's all Durant. Now, I happen to think that if Rondo were on Oklahoma City, Durant would score about another 15 points a game because he'd be really getting the ball. Westbrook is a guy who shoots first and passes second. But Oklahoma City has some other really good players. Perkins is a useful player. He's not a great offensive player, but he's defensively and rebounding. He's a strong body. And then they got some other players. Harden's outstanding.
He's real good.
Also has the greatest beard ever. He can't ever get on an airplane without getting body searched. Also, they have Cephalosha, who's a really good player. Ibaka. And Ibaka's a really good player.
He came in when Perkins came in last year. Imagine picking up those two players. I'm glad Perkins is gone from the Celtics because their team is different now. You know, with Bass, he's a shooter. He spreads the floor better for this type of team. And Perkins never played in the fourth period with the Celtics. Remember when he was with the Celtics? It was always Big Baby playing with Garnett.
But Durant, I don't know who to compare him to in the history of the NBA.
He's unreal.
He's a huge guy who's incredibly mobile, can shoot the lights out from outside, unselfish player. He's kind of like a big kid. He doesn't seem to have a really big ego. Seems like a nice guy.
He's the most talented offensive player in the league by far. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, to me, he's like a 6-inch taller Jerry West or something, you know, for people who saw basketball in the 60s. Yeah. But it should be a great finals as far as entertainment. If the Celtics somehow get to the finals, I don't like their chances against the Thunder.
I love to see it, though, Ron. I mean, the way they are now, I mean, they can adjust against any team. They're a young team. They'll double-team Durant. They'll try to take him out of the game and let Westbrook try to take over the game. In a lot of games, he shoots his percentage is bad. A lot of games, so that's what they're going to look for if they play Oklahoma City.
Right, Oklahoma City. If you saw the first two games of that series, you'd say they have no chance. San Antonio had won 20 games in a row. They're playing outstanding basketball. They've got terrific veteran players who really know how to play. The guy I love on San Antonio is Ginobili. He can do everything and very unselfish guy.
I think they just peaked too early, Ron. That's what it was. They peaked too early. You could see the team. I mean, they were losing it. I mean, Oklahoma City's a great team. I mean, they're real talented.
Well, the end of the game when Harden went one-on-one and splashed the three, you just saw the life sucked out of San Antonio.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I'd love to see the Celtics in Oklahoma City. It'd be unbelievable.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Athlete Training Tips by Athletic Evolution, giving you the edge.
Welcome to Athlete Training Tips. I'm Scott Duggan. We're here at Athletic Evolution. I'm going to take you through a couple exercises and give you little tips on how to do different exercises we do here. All right, so first thing, we're going to go through ankle mobilities. Ankle injuries are a big thing in all major running sports, especially soccer, lacrosse, football. So we're trying to prevent this ankle injury by increasing the range of motion in our athlete's ankle. So we're going to do this through our ankle mobility exercise. First phase, phase one, we're in a half kneeling position. Our front heel is staying on the ground at all times, and we're pushing that knee as far forward as we can without picking that heel up off the ground. Usually we'll do about 5 to 8 reps forward, 5 to 8 reps to the inside part of the foot over that big toe, and then 5 to 8 reps over the outside part or over the outside part of that little toe, all ranges of motion of the ankle. This would be phase one. We do this for about 2 or 3 weeks, get the athlete used to stabilizing that heel on the ground while he's getting that range of motion by pushing the knee forward. Then we'll take it to phase two. Phase two, we're gonna be up standing. We're gonna push that knee just like before as far forward as we can. Now the range of motion can be a little bit bigger, but we still wanna make sure now that we're not in the kneeling position that we're not picking that heel up off the ground. We wanna keep that heel nice and sturdy on the ground. Same thing, 5 to 8 reps forward, 5 to 8 reps to the inside or over the big toe, 5 to 8 reps the outside or the little toe. I'm here with Larry, one of our other strength coaches. We're gonna do some med ball or upper body plyometrics, work on our core rotational strength. All right, so first thing, we're gonna use one of our med balls here. Larry's gonna get down into a half kneeling position. The inside leg is up, and the med ball follows the path of the leg, so it's going down from the leg that's down all the way to up. We want to make sure our toe is dug in the back and our hips come all the way forward. We don't want to push our butt back. Nice, sturdy from the waist down. One hand on top, one hand on the side, and we're bringing it all the way back to the outside part of our right hip every time. And we want this to be explosive and as fast as possible. Go. Good. Reload every time, back to the hips. And then you would switch sides. Obviously, if we go to the other side, our inside leg or our right leg would be up. Phase 2. Now we're going to progress this. We're going to go to standing. We're going to bend at the waist, bend at the knees. He's going to pivot his back leg like a baseball swing, and he wants his belly button facing towards the wall. Same thing again, hand on top, hand on the side, bringing the med ball back to our hip every time, pivoting our back leg, turning our belly button towards the wall. Show him how it's done. Good, Larry. Good. All right, so phase 3. I'll demo real quick. Last thing, now we're gonna take it to dynamic. So all we're doing is taking a big step every time. So same thing, phase 2, we're right here, pivoting the back leg into it. Now phase 3, right here with the step, belly button towards the wall, pivot the back leg into it like a baseball swing.
Hi, my name is Justin. I'm one of the strength coaches here at Athletic Evolution. Today I'm going to take you through a multiple compound exercise on the TRX. We're going to hit a large muscle group, a core exercise, and a secondary muscle group all together in one fluid motion. So I'm going into the chest press, get the flexibility in the pecs, isolate the core for flexibility into the rollout, secondary muscle group into a skull crusher. Each one of these exercises requires mental and physical control and isolation over all areas of the body. Very functional, works coordination, balance, strength, power, and endurance all in one.
Athletic Evolution staff of energetic, motivated, and certified professional strength coaches will help you get to the level you aspire to achieve. At Athletic Evolution, it starts with a purpose and ends with your success. Visit our website or drop into our training facility at 78B Olympia Avenue, Woburn, Mass. Athletic Evolution, giving you the edge.
Welcome to tonight's sports conversation. With us, we have two members of the Melrose girls tennis team, Natalie Kendall and Betty Richardson. Welcome.
Hi.
Hello. Tell us a little bit about your season.
This season wasn't our best. We only won 4 matches this year. We went down Sarah McGowan, who was our #1 spot with mono. Then Lydia Mays was out for the whole season with her ACL tear. And then I got hurt the last week of the season, but we really weren't at our full strength during this season, so it was tough.
Who would have thought, like a sport like gymnastics, half the players are on crutches by the end of the year.
Know.
Yeah. Not tennis.
None of the injuries were really even from tennis, so we're just, it's more of like a rebuilding year. We had a bunch of new players on the team.
Where were you? Where'd you play?
I played first doubles with Julie Monjo.
Double? And where'd you play, Betty?
I played second doubles with Emmeline for the most
part. How'd you do in the doubles?
We did. Doubles? Actually, the doubles team did really well this year.
We basically won a good majority of ours.
Yeah, half our matches.
Yeah. And you're both juniors. You're going to be seniors, right?
Yep.
Now, what do you like better, playing doubles or singles?
Doubles.
Doubles.
Are you looking to play singles next year?
It's a possibility, but I really like doubles, so.
Yeah, no. I probably won't be playing singles.
So now this winter, when you work on your game, or the summer when you're working on your game, do you work on it a lot, doubles-wise, or do you play singles mostly?
Well, we go to Woburn Racket Club with a pro, and we usually just do skills mostly, and we usually practice mostly doubles.
Yeah.
Tennis is tough because in the springtime in New England, the weather is spotty. It rains, it's windy. And I can't imagine that makes for ideal conditions.
It was awful this year.
Yeah,
we had to play like half our matches indoor.
Yeah.
Now, how many events do you have in a regular match?
5, yeah.
So you have 3 singles and 2 doubles?
Yep.
And what about the other players? Do they still play?
We have JV matches. They don't count towards the score of the varsity match, but like as long as we get matches out. Like if the other team has enough JV players to play our players, then they'll be like able to play.
Now, Winchester's been the dynasty in the Middlesex League, and they've won multiple state championships.
They have like 180 matches. Like I think, it's like around 180 that they've won in a row. So
They're pretty good.
They lost their 2 best girls this year, though. The first and second singles girl to like D1 schools for tennis, but they still,
They breed tennis players.
Yeah.
How many teams from the Middlesex League made the tournament?
I think 2 or 3. I'm not sure.
2?
Winchester made it, Lexington and Burlington, and maybe Wakefield. I'm not sure though.
Now you both play soccer too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you spend more time in, soccer or tennis?
Well, I've been playing soccer like a lot longer than tennis, so probably soccer.
What do you like better?
This is a tough one. They're both like so different that I think I'm more competitive in soccer, but
I like tennis better.
You like tennis better?
Yeah, I don't
Why?
like running.
Oh, you don't like running?
No.
In the league matches, it shows my ignorance. Do you call all your own lines?
You do. Yeah, it's like a gentleman's game. So.
How does that? I mean, I remember when my sister played tennis in high school, and there were a few girls I'd see her play against. These girls, they weren't cheating; they just saw the ball in or out.
That happens a lot.
It was just they saw it in, even though it was out.
Mm-hmm.
What if you disagree with the other person? What if it's a winning point and you both disagree?
Usually, if it's like a winning point, like out of like just I guess generosity or something, that if it's close, you give it to them.
Yeah.
So.
Otherwise, like sometimes we'll like redo the point if it's like really controversial.
Yeah.
Do you ever look at one of your teammates that's watching and say, was it in or out?
Yeah, usually doubles it's so much easier because there's 2 people on the court at the same time where they can see the ball so much easier. But singles, it's a lot different because you're like, if you're at the net and the ball goes over your head and you can't really see it on the line, it's different. So if it's controversial there, then sometimes the coaches get involved and say, or redo the point or whatnot.
Now, what's your goal for next year?
Well, I think we'll be a lot better next year. We'll have like a lot of seniors and also like new players to varsity this year. We'll have more experience. So.
And you'll have Sarah next year
Sarah
too, right?
and Lydia will be back
and Lydia.
too. She was really helpful our sophomore year. She played 3rd singles and she won a lot of her matches.
What's your goal, Betty, for next year?
I want to make the tournament.
Yeah.
Get through
definitely.
a few matches in tournament.
If you examine areas that you need to improve, you say, well, my serve is just not where it needs to be, or my initial receive isn't where it needs to be, or you say, I need to get better at everything.
Yeah, usually we bring that to practice.
Yeah. I mean, I have a horrible backhand, so I try to work on that, like, in the off season or whatever. And we all come together and play, like, we played yesterday, a few of us. So.
Oh, you got together after the season?
Yeah.
You just call one another and say, let's go down the courts?
Yeah, let's go down the courts, bring balls.
Is there always a court open?
Mostly.
Yeah.
After school, basically?
Yeah.
Sometimes there's, like, this tennis league that plays there, but
yeah,
for the most part, we can find a place to play.
And there's plenty of courts, too.
Yeah, like Crystal and Tremont. So.
Oh, Crystal, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So who's going to be the powerhouse next year?
I don't know. Well, Sarah's always the powerhouse.
No, I mean teams.
Oh, for teams. Well, Winchester. I don't know if this is a rumor or not, but Burlington, I guess, has like a state-ranked girl freshman coming in next year. So she's like Burlington's always one to watch because they're in the small division. So if we want to make the tournament, we have to either come in first or second. So we try to beat Burlington. Didn't really happen this year, but maybe next year.
Now, do you have tennis camps too, like in the summertime to go to? Or is it mostly soccer and the
It's
other
just
sports?
mostly soccer. Like tennis camps aren't really like out there as much. Usually it's like indoor with pros.
Now you can't play your 1 against their 2 or switch around to try to be strategic.
I heard some teams like to finagle it at times.
Yeah, it's like a rule in the Middlesex League that you have to have your first and second singles player be the 2 best, and then your first doubles players, and then either like second doubles and 3rd singles you can like move around, but pretty much on the most part you need your best players.
No,
first and second singles.
Compare coaching in soccer and tennis. How important is it in tennis?
I think it's much more important in soccer.
in soccer?
Yeah.
Because
like
you have
in
different plays and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. In tennis, it's kind of like your own mental game, like more than anything else. So like the coach, to a certain extent, can't really like fix it.
Yeah.
But
Can you strategize on the fly, or is it just you have a certain way that you play and that's how it is?
Strategizing is like can be key,
Yeah.
I guess. You know, come up to the net, stay far back, like depending on what they are good at or weak at.
yeah, you have to take their weaknesses to your advantage.
Yeah.
Now, you were on the first team doubles, right?
Yeah.
First team doubles. Who was your partner again?
Julia Monjo, she
So
just graduated.
So you have to know each other really well, right?
Yeah, we played together last
Do
year.
you have those
too.
codes like I see the pros do to do the fingers and stuff?
No, we just kind of, I don't know.
I'm going this way next
Yeah.
time. And
We just talk to each other all the time. It's like, it's really easy with her, and I don't know what I'm going to do without her next year. So.
Now, with the weather being, do you ever get the weather, not rain, just it's too cold or it's too windy, you just say we can't play today, it's just too awful?
No.
so when it's drizzling, you go out and you play? I mean,
It
practice?
can't be drizzling, but if it's like really cold or windy, we still play. But
Can you practice in the school?
No.
You know,
No.
not
Sometimes
like the
we go to
base-
like Woburn.
I was watching the
indoor.
baseball team in there one day, throwing the ball around.
Yeah, they can go in, but there's really no like the gym. We couldn't really do anything.
Now,
Yeah.
Betty, who was your partner this year?
Mostly Emmeline.
Now you know her real well as a player. Did you have a lot of different calls and?
Well, we started playing together this year because this is my first year on varsity, and it's hers too. But we kind of like got used to each other like really quickly.
yeah.
We like figured each other out.
Now, what position you play in soccer again?
I play defense.
Defense?
Like sweeper, usually in the back.
Were you on the varsity this year?
Yeah.
Did you start?
I did.
How about you, Betty?
I played JV last year, but I like forward most, but I'll go anywhere.
Now, I'm a big believer in sports psychology. I've read a lot of books about sports psychology. Is that introduced at all, a little, or just, huh?
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot in tennis because it's the mental game, but it's not really talked about a lot. It's mostly skill.
All right. Well, I recommend for all athletes a book called 10-Minute Toughness by Jason Selk. And he reviews breathing techniques, visualization techniques, things to help build up confidence and overcome fear. Because a lot of times, unfortunately, players can win or lose mentally more than physically.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's
definitely.
happened to us
Especially
this
in
year.
I know they say in basketball it's 80% mental. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is.
They say that in tennis too.
Yeah.
Our coach is like, it's 90% mental and 10% skill. And
How's the soccer team look next year?
I think we're going to be really good. I don't know
Yeah,
if
I'm
I'm
excited.
like
No,
over-exaggerating.
you play in the
but-
fall, right? Is it
Yep.
the fall? You play in the fall?
Yeah.
So you're going to be working on your soccer then a lot, right?
Yeah, this summer's probably going to be mostly soccer and into the fall, and then I usually take the winter off to do tennis.
Do you have summer leagues that you play in this?
Yeah, in
soccer?
July we have a summer league every Tuesday and Thursday night. Yeah,
Who's your coach in soccer?
Bill DeSimone.
Oh, Bill, that's
Yeah,
right.
Good man.
yeah.
Are there any individual highlights or personal moments that were really special to you from the season this year?
Yeah, for tennis.
Right.
Okay. I don't know. I think, well, our first match we played Peabody, who we haven't beat in 5 years. Everyone won. Like,
Yeah, even JV.
5-0?
Yeah.
Yeah, plus everyone on JV,
JV
won
too.
Who goes last? Who's the last
It's
to compete?
usually,
Do they have it set up where, like, first will go first or
Well-
first goes last?
if you have 4 courts, usually one team has to sit out, and it's
Oh.
just based on, like, the day.
So it could be 2-2 and that last team's playing to win.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how many matches did you play this year?
I think it was, like, around 20.
You played 20?
Yeah.
Do you play tiebreakers, or you
Yeah.
just go until you win by 2?
We went into a few tiebreakers this year.
Yeah. It depends on the daylight. If it's getting too dark, like, kind of, like, wrap it up, play some tiebreakers, but I hate tiebreakers.
Who's your favorite professional players?
Nadal.
Nadal?
Yeah, definitely.
Because he's a lefty?
No. I just love to watch him play. He's really good.
We were talking, he finally beat, is it Djordjevic?
Yeah.
If he
Finally
wins-
beat him. He
Yeah.
lost 7 matches in a row to him.
That was insane.
In the majors, 7
Yeah.
in a row in the majors, and he finally beat him.
I
If
know.
he wins a couple more tournaments, he can buy the whole country.
How about
Very
women?
true.
Sharapova.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the Williams
Sharapova.
sisters, too. They're good. Fun to watch.
Yeah, I don't like Serena as much.
No.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight, and great success in soccer next season and, of course, in tennis.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, girls.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Paul Rabel from the Boston Cannons, and you're watching Let's Talk Sports.
The sport of kings. Does anybody know what the sport of kings is? Does anybody remember when horse racing, that majestic sport with majestically named horses, back when the ladies wore long dresses and held parasols, the men top hats and suits, jockeys dated movie stars, back when people cared. Now you can't even get a loaf of bread that's made by someone who cares. But I digress. Triple Crown horses are now 0 for the last 11 since the last time the Triple Crown happened. And that was affirmed, 1978, ridden by boy wonder Steve Cawthon. Steve Cawthon, who's now 55 or something like that. Think about it. How long has it been? Spectacular Bid. I call it the curse of Spectacular Bid. When trainer Bud Delp decided in his infinite wisdom that he was going to go with the young and untalented Ron Franklin, who ran that horse into the ground in the Belmont and watched 2 horses pass him down the stretch. That horse could have won with me on his back, but he couldn't win with Franklin. So, the curse has gone on since 1979. It began spectacularly with the Bid, the worst ride ever. By comparison, during the drought from 1949 to 1972, there were 7 horses that couldn't get it done. And now we've had 11, and it just keeps happening. Every time somebody has a shot. And think about them. Some of them had great careers. Some of them are in the Hall of Fame. Pleasant Colony in 81. Ali Sheba, 87. Sunday Silence in 89. Silver Charm, real quiet, charismatic. You remember Charismatic broke down, Chris Antley crying in the stretch, holding his leg up. War Emblem. Doesn't that sound like a great name? War Emblem. And he failed. What are you going to do? Funny Side, Smarty Jones, Big Brown. Some were regally bred. Some were bought for very small amount of money. Some were trained by Hall of Famers. Some by good trainers who dropped by the big time for a cup of coffee. None could get it done, but why? Why not? Could it be the breeding? Maybe because they keep breeding horses for more and more speed. It's just the inconsistency that goes with it. Maybe they don't have the stamina. Maybe they don't have those sound bones anymore. Who knows? Maybe they're just not made for it. You know what? It could be the lighter campaigns. These horses are getting babied. I mean, how many times did Affirmed and Seattle Slew, Secretariat, they ran these horses. Some of these horses ran a dozen times by the time they ran in the Kentucky Derby. Now you're seeing these guys go 3 or 4 times, and they're like, oh, I hope I didn't overwork them. They're not tough enough, maybe. Could it be that this sagging and almost forgotten industry just badly needs a superstar? My personal opinion, every time a horse shows anything, they're looking to retire him to the breeding shed because the money. So they don't care. Are you kidding me? You know something? There have been horses that were on 2 good legs, not 3 good legs, that had a shot for the Triple Crown, and their horses ran them. And you know what? Nowadays, it doesn't even matter. They don't care. But that's why this industry is dead. And that's why we need one of the best named horses in a long time. I'll have another. Who can beat him? Well, let's be honest. Those 11 that failed over the last 33 years all look like lead pipe cinches, just like this horse does. But you know what? I'll tell you something. Bodemeister is sitting out, but that horse had a perfect trip in the Preakness. I thought for sure he was going to win going away. I'll have another ran by him in the stretch, just like he did in the Derby. So who's left? You got Dullahan coming back from the Derby. What kind of a horse is Dullahan? What kind of name is that? Does that sound like a Belmont winner? Come on. Union Rags. That could be it. If you're going by the names, depending what number he is in your program, if it's the lucky number, well, guess what? Union Rags had a very lousy trip. What do I think? I don't know. How do you go against I'll have another? As Bud Delp said before the bid won the Derby, he held up a beer and said, go bet. So what do I say? I'll have another.
On and off the court, Visionary Basketball Group delivers programs that empower players with skills for athletic and personal success. Our players undergo learning experiences that position them for positive lifelong achievement on and off the court. With a year-round training philosophy, BBG can assist you in reaching your full potential as a player with conditioning, basketball fundamentals, position-specific training, and skills and drills taught by the best coaches in New England. For more information, visit our website at visionarybasketball.com or drop into our new athletic performance center located at 152 Tremont Street, Melrose, Mass. VBG, complete your vision.
The great part about sports is the really sophisticated, knowledgeable people who find their way into playing and coaching, like James Franklin, the Vanderbilt football coach. Here's a quote from Mr. Franklin. I've been saying it for a long time. I will not hire an assistant coach until I've seen his wife. If she looks the part and she's a D1 recruit, then you get a chance to be hired. That's part of the deal. There's a very strong correlation between having the confidence, going up and talking to a woman and being quick on your feet, and having some personality and confidence and being fun and articulate, than it is walking into a high school and recruiting a kid and signing him. In other words, as a coach, it's important to have a really attractive wife if you're going to be a good coach and recruiter. What?
He's a knucklehead.
You know?
Another one of those knuckleheads, Ron.
You know,
sometimes you wonder with Petrino and him.
Even if a person thought crazy thoughts like that, you'd think they'd have enough of a filter.
That's what I'm saying.
Keep from actually saying it. I guess not. Now, is Curt Schilling a sports story? I don't know. Today, 38 studios declared bankruptcy, and we don't want that. Obviously, we need jobs throughout New England. We need people who are being successful in their business. You know, obviously, you're a future Hall of Fame pitcher. Why wouldn't you expect you could be able to run a software game company?
Yeah, I guess every game is worth big, huge money. You know, I guess they made almost $100 million on one of their games, but it's so much money to run one of those businesses. But, you know, he took a chance. It didn't work out. A lot of people don't like him anyway. They think he's an idiot. You know, he's pompous. He thinks he's better than everybody, and a lot of people are happy. But you're never happy about people being laid off.
Well, supposedly the people who were working on his games were able to get jobs pretty quickly because it's an industry where talented people are in demand. Now, on the Patriots side, Chad Ochocinco, a.k.a. Chad Johnson, is no longer a member of the New England Patriots. Today he was released.
Yeah, it only cost him $6 million for how many catches? Was it 16?
Oh, it was in the teens. You know, unfortunately, he never really could pick up the offense. You know, he really didn't drop the ball so much as he just didn't get open.
I think it's more his age, Ron. He wasn't as quick as he used to be, and that really hurt him. He wasn't getting to the open spots for Brady.
Well, it's unfortunate. You know, a couple more catches and, you know, maybe it would have been a difference.
He had to know he was on his way out with all the ends they signed, you know, since the season ended. And it's good that he's gone. They don't have to fool around with him anymore. They got some good receivers.
Well, we know Lloyd is outside the numbers. He's got a job. We know Welker's got a job. I'd say Jabbar Gaffney's got the leg up to be the third receiver.
Over Stallworth?
Over Stallworth and Branch.
Yeah, Branch, I think. I'd take Stallworth and Gaffney over him.
Yeah, Branch really seemed like he was slowing down.
He's not quick anymore.
Right. It's so much as being a receiver is not just running the route. It's getting separation. You know, we didn't have people dropping the ball so much as just not getting open.
Yeah, and Gonzalez, he must have still been injured. So, but they still have Edelman, you know, and Welker as the slot receivers. So they're in good shape.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Now, P. Diddy, famous rapper, is worth $470-something million. His son Justin got a football scholarship to UCLA. People are saying, that's not fair. He's a rich guy. Why does his kid get a football scholarship? Well, I haven't seen him play, but my guess is he's a pretty good football player.
Yeah, I mean, you have a number of schools after you. What are you going to do?
Right.
There's more than one school after him.
It's not a need-based scholarship. It's a football scholarship.
Right.
Sports. You know, it's America, right?
Someone was going to give it to him. Might as well be UCLA.
As Terrence King said last night on Necessary Roughness after he was shot, it's America. People get shot every day. So it's crazy. But anyway, good luck to Justin Diddy. Now, the Packers tight end, Jermichael Finley, says, Gronk and Jimmy Graham haven't shown me that much yet. They have to show me more. Well, Finley had 55 catches last year. Gronkowski had about 1 million.
I don't know what he's talking about.
What's that about?
And Gronkowski, I mean, he's talking about having even a better season. I don't know how he can, but especially when you have all those receivers. But it makes it easier for everyone. You got him and Hernandez, and then the receiving core they have now. I mean, what does it come down to on the offensive line?
Well, and then a former Boston sports personality, Ken Harrelson, is a longtime White Sox broadcaster. And he got into a major dispute with Major League Baseball and Mark Wegner. After 2 White Sox players were hit, one of the White Sox pitchers threw behind an opponent, and the pitcher got tossed. Here's Harrelson's quote. Mark Wegner don't know what the game of baseball is about. And he said it about 5 times for emphasis. After that, he got called in by Bud Selig, and according to Harrelson, he said, I did a lot of listening, not a lot of talking. So, now, I think that Ralph and I probably agree that officiating is really not very good. And why is that? Well, the answer is instant replay. You have so many angles, so many close plays that are hard to call, and we get to see the right answer versus what gets called.
Right. Well, you talk about baseball. Baseball, one sport where the umpire says it's my strike zone. It isn't his strike zone. You know, you got to follow the league strike zone so every batter, every game knows what the strike zone is. But I told you before, when the umpires are over the inside shoulder, there's no way they can tell where the ball is on the outside. That's why they're calling those pitches strikes that are 2-3 inches outside the strike zone. They just don't see it. In the old days, especially in the American League, the umpires used to get over the back of the head. So they can see both corners, but they couldn't see the knees. There'd be a lot of mistakes down there. You got to miss one of them as an umpire, a home plate umpire.
It's a tough job, and frankly, we have no sympathy for them.
Basketball is just unbelievable, though. Ron.
Well,
but I blame the league. I blame the NBA because they tell the refs, don't call travel when they take 3 or 4 steps if they make a great move because the fans go crazy. Well, so let the stars do that.
Well, I thought Van Gundy had a good suggestion yesterday. He said, move the restricted area out toward the foul line so you're not getting all these ridiculous flopping calls. And he said it'd be a much more honest game, and it'll be a lot easier for the referees to officiate.
But there wouldn't be any charges or any blocks if they moved it out to the foul line.
I mean, the charges, so many of these guys are just flopping all the time. Now, Battier's, he comes from Duke. He's a natural-born flopper anyway.
But you know it's tough for the ref that's behind the basket. He not only has to see the block or the charge, he's got to look at the feet.
Right.
In that one Pierce where the player had his right foot on the line, it should have been a block instead of a charge on Pierce. Right. They took away a 3-point play. But it is tough.
Well, we have a little time to talk about the Red Sox. 56 games into the season, they're playing .500 baseball. No excuses. They got problems. You know, if you start going around, Saltalamacchia has played very well on the whole. Defensively, I'm not in love with him, but the guy's hitting the ball great. At first base, Alex Gonzalez, oh my goodness.
Batted 6.
Adrian Gonzalez, yeah, he looks miserable up there right now.
Batted 6 yesterday. Imagine him putting him 6th in the lineup.
Well, he's got 4 homers and 29 RBIs.
Yeah, he's only making $22 million too.
Playing terrible. So Pedroia is swinging the bat like he's hurt. Oh, he is hurt.
Well, he went after those 2 pitches that were an inch outside, and you could see him just letting the bat go because of his thumb. But you know, the key to this team right now is Lester. Is just not Lester. Something happened to him last year with him and that whole Beckett situation.
Well, you know, he gets taken out of the game and he's sulking because, you know, he doesn't have the win. Well, you gave up 5 runs ultimately. You weren't pitching that well.
Yeah, what was he upset about? Because the relief pitcher gave up a hit and the run came in. Well, he put the guy on the base and he wasn't getting anybody out.
Get people out. You know, you don't have to complain about the bullpen if you do your job.
He has a bad attitude. That's not good. He has a terrible
third base,
attitude.
Obviously, Valentine's under orders to get Youkilis in the lineup so they can trade him. So Middlebrooks doesn't get the time. Middlebrooks is the future there. And then the outfield, it's basically minor league players for the most part. You have Nava, who's overachieved at 938 OPS. And then I can't believe how we have to listen every day about how great Marlon Byrd and Sweeney are. Byrd is terrible. He's got a 612 OPS. That's just awful. It's 100 points less than Avila at shortstop. And Sweeney has no home runs this season, and he has no power. Another one of these guys who's 6'4", 225, and doesn't ever hit a home run.
You know what it looks like, Ron, to me? It looks like they're starting to lose interest. They don't have that same mindset as they've had in years past. I mean, last year and the year before, Euclid was a big injury. You know, they had a lot of injuries the last 2 years, but again, falling apart in September. But you always knew they were going to come out and play hard. You look at Gonzalez now, hitting 260, a hitter like him. Euclid's hitting 230, Pedroia's down at 285. Well, it's, you know, and then you have Lester in the pitching staff.
A lot of these guys are going to be looking for playing time because, first of all, you know, it's not that long before Ellsbury will be back, and Ryan Kalish is back. He's worked his way up to AAA. So far in 2 games for Pawtucket, he's hitting 800 with 2 homers. So he's not that far away, and he's a hard-nosed kid who's a real good, aggressive player, sort of like a young Trot Nixon.
Yeah, it's all going to come down to their attitude, Ron. Once they get Ellsbury back, I mean, who knows about Crawford when he's going to come back.
Well, speaking of attitude, lest we forget Daniel Bard. He had the worst pitching performance since 1918.
Who do you blame that on? I blame it on the Red Sox. What are they doing changing his whole wind-up form? His whole form is different.
He wanted to be a starter, you know, and he's
trying to... But they tell him to throw 92 miles an hour?
No. You know, if you still... I'm not saying that he should be Justin Verlander, but, you know, if you're trying to throw more breaking balls, more change-ups, and get away from what made you a successful pitcher, no wonder you failed. You know, Bard's, you know, he's had more walks than strikeouts, and in his 1 1/3 innings against Toronto, he had 6 walks, 2 hit batsmen, and they had to get him out of there so nobody from Toronto got killed.
But, you know, I look at 2 things with him. What people aren't talking about is last September when he fell apart. His ERA went up to 6. Well, in September it was 6. Well, you look, was there a problem last year with his arm? Does he have a problem with his shoulder?
Well, the problem isn't with his
92.
arm. The problem isn't with his arm. The problem's in this area.
Yeah, but how do you go from 99 to 100 to 92, Ron?
He needs a checkup from the neck up.
But I've heard rumors that the Red Sox told him if you're going to be a starter, you got to make them hit the ball and not try to strike out every batter. Why not strike out everybody? He had excellent form last year. He wasn't overthrown like Buchholz. I said 2 years ago Buchholz is going to end up doing something to his arm because he just overthrows every pitch. He was until he hurt his back.
Well, I mean, arguably the best.
But I don't blame Bard.
Arguably the best starter this year has been Felix Doubront, who needs to become more economical with his pitches. But he's got real good stuff.
He's a pitcher.
He's got real good stuff.
And he's under control. He has a great disposition out there. He doesn't get upset at the umpires. He just gets the ball back, pitches. Every pitch you can see he's totally locked in. Not like Lester starting to lose his, his whole mindset is off.
Well, first of all, the miracle here in the American League East is the Orioles are still in first place, and they've got pretty good pitching.
They're not going to be. I told you before, they're not going to be up. They lost 7 in a row, and they're still.
I know they're still in first place. I don't know how it's working, but
to me, the miracle is the Yankees are starting to play well. With some of those players on that team, with A-Rod and Teixeira.
Well, the problem I thought they had guys like Betances and Benuelos who were close. I know, but those guys in the minors, they can't throw strikes, so they're not close right now.
But how about Pettit?
Pettit came in, had 10 strikeouts against the Rays.
7 1/3 innings against the Rays. Unbelievable. The game before he got hit a little, then the game before that, he pitched great. So if he has a good season.
Well, you know, you see guys who are these veterans, the Jamie Moyer who pitched into the mid-40s, the Rick Rushells, who they can't throw the ball through the wall, but they can nick the corner every time. And major league hitters, they thrive on mistakes.
Hey, aren't you looking forward to this weekend, though? Washington coming in.
Well, I
can't wait.
I want to see Bryce Harper, and you want to see Strasburg.
No, I looked to see Strasburg pitch yesterday. He didn't. He wasn't pitching today, so he must be pitching in the series.
Right.
That'd be amazing.
Bryce Harper is a 19-year-old kid who's come up and has an OPS of around 900. You know, he's likely to be a superstar going forward. 19-year-old kid, really tough kid, plays great defense, runs well, has power. it will be exciting to watch.
You know, when people say that, they don't want to play the National League, why are we still doing that? I mean, this is the reason. I mean, I'm really looking for it. I'm a Yankee fan, but I'm looking forward to seeing the Red Sox play the Nationals.
Well, how many exciting young players are there in the American League right now? Not a lot.
That whole team's good, though. I mean,
No.
the Nationals, no, there aren't. Yeah. When you look at the American, look at the Yankees. I mean, they just got, I mean, you really look at them, they're like a dull team now. I mean, you have Cano at times who can hit, and Jeter, who's everybody's favorite. But on that, you got A-Rod, Teixeira, who doesn't hit half the time. You look at the Red Sox now. Before they were exciting, you had Pedroia, Youkilis, well, Ellsbury's out, the most exciting player.
Well, when Ellsbury, the question longer term is, Boris is going to be looking to get $20 million a year for Ellsbury, and is he going to be a guy who's hurt all the time? I mean, I'm not saying he's fragile. He plays the game very hard, but it does make you wonder: are you going to pay top dollar for injured players?
I don't know if people really. I say it every show, and everybody I talk to that Theo was the worst general manager in the last 5 years since they won. I mean, they did win 2 World Championships. A lot of that. Duquette helped out, but he made a couple of Ortiz. He made some pretty good moves.
Well,
but since then, you got to go by what's happening lately, Ron. He was terrible.
Well, I think that player accountability is so important. Obviously, whether Beckett is trying to say something here, he's pitched a lot better lately. So I don't think he got healthy. I think he just got serious. Right. I think that some of these guys got embarrassed, and because they weren't playing up to a reasonable standard, they're saying, look, we got to step it up a little bit here. Now, another thing which is really interesting is the distraction that is the broadcasting now. So we have Orsillo going to Dave Matthews' concert, and we're having Jenny Dell come up to the broadcast booth. Might as well have Jenny Dell up in the broadcast booth the whole game.
When was that?
The other night.
Oh, was
she
it?
came up to deliver an autographed drumstick from Dave Matthews. That was the only good part of the game. So she's done a nice job. She's a very personable, talented field correspondent. More time in the broadcast booth for Jenny Dell, I guess, and I guess it's probably tough for the broadcasters to announce boring baseball games.
Who, out of all the players of sports you've seen lately, who are you impressed with the most? In basketball, baseball.
Well,
let's stay with those two sports.
In basketball, Durant. Durant he's a beast. He didn't earn the nickname Durantula for nothing. The only thing that's a little weird is when all these guys get in post-game interviews with the eyeglasses without glasses in there, just have the frames.
I have 2 players. I mean, you know how I was on Rondo. Out of all the years I've been watching sports, I can't make him out. Sometimes I think he's great in the open court, and then in the half court he's not as good. But I'll tell you, he's been playing tremendous in this series against Miami. And I'll tell you, if he continues that next year, he will be the best point guard in basketball. But the one player, Kevin Garnett, 36 years old, playing the way he's playing. I mean, with the heart he's playing with Ron, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this.
Well, he's in his contract year, and it's impossible to imagine him not playing next year because he's playing so hard. A guy who's as competitive as he is, who's as proud as he is, who talks regularly about how much he works at his craft, you can't walk away after this.
I hope they can bring him back. I mean, people saying they break it up. No, I mean, if they ever win it this year, I think they'll bring everybody back. But even if they don't win it this year, just imagine if David West signed with them instead of Indiana. It was between the 2 teams. If they had West on it, they'd beat anybody right now. But I still think they can, but they've got to play great basketball starting tonight in the 6th game.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Ron Sen.
And I'm Ralph LaBella, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Sports.